Hello, everybody, and welcome to State of the Realm. This is episode number 4. Today, we're pretty much going to be looking at some information from a Famitsu interview that was translated the other day. I got to make that starting music longer. It stopped way too soon. But anyway, to help me talk about this, we have our host, Slyh, a.k.a. Slyh, a.k.a. Greyfox, a.k.a. Slythefox, a.k.a. You my boy, Blue.
You my boy, Blue.
And... Yo, I'm doing good, man. I don't know why. I just felt like introducing you first this time. I was just so happy to have you here for this topic. Hi. Because Slyh, I like talking with you over the show. I look forward to getting to do this every week with you. I'm your other host, Michael Mr. Happy Povaromo, the less important one we've already established.
Of course. Because
Sly's, you guys got to come to the pre-show and understand why Slyh is now the boss of the show. I'm only introducing the show now because Slyh owns me after what he did to my ears earlier. The way he made me feel on the inside, it was so warm. Now I'm even more excited for the show every week. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about this week. Mostly about stuff that we got from a Famitsu interview that came out 2 weeks ago. Now, we were going to talk about it last week, but you guys saw we ran on like an hour and a half, even without talking about it at all. And on top of that, it's seen multiple translations since that interview. We've actually had one of our Dream Team regulars come by, Marco. He has a translation corner on our Dream forums, and he's been constantly updating it every time he finds something. Be sure to go show him some love. He's asking for questions and feedback right now on the Dream forums, so definitely.
Shout out to Marco.
Shout out to Marco. Thank you so much for translating the live letter last time. I'll keep you guys up to date about that. So we got a lot of things to talk about here.
Yes,
Famitsu was where we kind of learned a little bit more about some of the things we went over last week. The big one was really the final coil changes. When we've heard it was going to go into the duty finder, and I mean, you expressed how you felt about that last week. Slyh. Slyh.
Terrible. It's a terrible idea. I gotta do it in my Charles Barkley voice. That's just terrible. That's a terrible idea.
Charles Barkley voice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, so we found out it's going to follow pretty much the same pattern as everything else. This doesn't come as a surprise to a lot of people. It's going to be where it's not really fully in the duty finder at first for the first couple of weeks. It's in the duty finder. You don't need to go to Northern Phandelin to enter Final Coil anymore, but it doesn't have any nerfs. It doesn't have the echo. It doesn't have any of that. So it's going to be like that for 2 weeks. You'll need all 8 people to enter. It's no longer locked out. So you don't need, it's not like you can only clear each turn once. You can farm each turn if you really want. And you can get as much loot as you want. There's basically no restrictions other than the fact you need a pre-made 8-man party. But 2 weeks into the patch, there's going to be the addition of the echo. There's going to be it being fully thrown in the duty finder. But there haven't been any mentions of nerfs yet. Slyh, give me your thoughts, because that's a lot to take in all at once.
You already, like I said, you already know how I feel. Like, I think it's a terrible idea, even with nerfs. Even in DF, even with the removing the restrictions, it's already a terrible idea. Maybe it might be a good idea in hindsight for maybe turn 10, but after that, really, is it really that good of an idea to have a bunch of randoms? And I hate to say it that way. In Final Coil, whereas randoms in second coils, they just don't get it. Like it's almost as trolly. It's almost as trolly as an ST, CT, or World of Darkness run. Put it like that. Going into DF is almost that trolly. I would rather take CT than a Final Coil DF once I get to it.
But I mean, there are people that are looking forward to this. You know, people that beat turn 9 don't have the static. I mean, they can't even get in there to figure it out. Like, yeah, they can watch a video, but come on, they need practice.
PF is the more preferable option, though.
But everyone in the PF are douchebags most of the time.
But it's a better option than DF.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
true.
I can see if I feel like DF is that 2 o'clock, bar's about to close, I need something to do. There's nothing in PF. Well, fine. I'll go to DF. I'll do it just to say I did it.
But
that's
the way they nerf turn 6 and 7, I gotta believe 10 and 11 are gonna see the same treatment.
I don't think it's gonna be that nerfed. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be on burn status like 6 and 7 are.
7's a lot of fun. Fun fact, you can actually close your eyes and do turn 7 now, as long as the off tank has his eyes open. Good luck.
Really, with petrifaction? everything.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't kill anyone anymore. You could all just stand still for the whole fight. It wasn't matter. The things can just hit your off tank the whole time.
Mechanics still matter, even though
the only thing that matters in turn 7. We're not going to get into this now because otherwise we're going to be here all day.
Right.
You can enter any tier at any time. There's no lockout anymore. Enjoy it in 2 weeks. Have fun with the Duty Finder because by having fun, I mean, I'm sorry for you. But on top of that, with that's just the icing on the cake when it comes to this Famitsu interview. Pretty much just more information about jobs, about the expansion, about crafting, just way more explanations about everything.
Right.
First thing is that the Heavensward trailer is going to be released after patch 2.55, and it's going to basically kind of fill in the gaps here. The benchmark video is going to be coming out. It was shortened from 13 minutes to 9 minutes. I don't know. I would have preferred the extra 4 minutes. Would you have preferred the extra 4 minutes?
Doesn't make a difference to me. I mean,
that's 4 minutes.
Lore-wise, how much can you throw in 4 minutes, though? Really? Like,
listen,
what?
You haven't seen a Lord of the Rings movie, have you?
I've seen every Lord of the Rings movie.
So you know exactly what 4 minutes can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Anyway. It'll make you think that the ending happened 3 times in 4 minutes. There you go.
Right.
Let's see. The Owl Raw character creation is going to be there. That's going to be in the benchmark. It's not going to be the full thing. But at least we get to kind of see what the Owl Raw are going to be like character customization wise. So are you planning on changing to an Owl Raw at all?
On an alt.
On an alt? Yeah, we went over that last week. If you like it enough, I'm gonna ride you for this every week.
Okay.
Because I want you to change. I want you to change. You got to be part. You got to be part of all of us. You're not having it, are you?
Is this a hive mind? One of us.
One of us.
Right.
Yeah. The big thing is the horns, though, because we've seen horns, don't see ears, and they say the horns are like the biggest thing. I don't know how much horns can really make or break character.
I mean,
creation.
a lot of people take a lot of pride in their character creation, so I think it does kind of matter, like just to see that aspect within the armor. Kind of, you don't want the devs to be.
Take your armor
racist.
now. Imagine it with horns.
Okay.
How does it look?
Pretty freaking badass.
Sticking out the side of your face, not out the top of your head. Because you got to remember, they mostly kind of dip down and like outward front towards the face. I'm sure there are more options than that. But I almost find it hard to believe they designed every piece of armor with all of this in mind and that it's going to be updated for the Owl. I'm expecting clipping issues.
So if that's the case, do you think they'll go back and update for other races?
Much work.
It's so much work, but you're going to get a few players who kind of grinds their gears and they're like, oh, well, you did this for Aura. Why can't you do it for Makote or, anything?
Yeah, I guess some of the armors, like I know the Black Mage one from Second Coil was a disaster with the little tail coming out the back. That was a disaster. Some other things, there's going to be some famous Final Fantasy characters in Ishgard. I don't know why this surprised me, but it did. If you had to pick 3 characters that aren't Cloud or Sephiroth to put into the game in Heavensward, in Ishgard, what would they be? Go.
Do you want the 3 that I want to pick?
Yes,
or
the three that
I think
want.
are going to be in there.
3 that you want. A wish list.
A wish list. Kane. For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Bartz.
Butts?
Butts.
Butts.
Yeah, you call him. I forget you call him Butts.
His name is Butts. That's what it is.
God. Butts. And the last one, I'm not sure.
All right. How about one that's not like a main character? Because we got Kane, we got Butts. I personally don't think we're gonna get main characters. Give me one that's not a main character.
One that's not a main character.
It doesn't like literally it's not the main protagonist of the game.
I'm gonna go kind of Black Mage here. Lulu.
I would be surprised if we got any of those. I think it's going to be all like supporting cast. Like,
no. I think it's going to be strictly 4 characters, like Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah, because like if you look at the swag that we're getting from Collector's Edition, you see Kane, you see an item from Cecil.
Is it Cecil or Cecil?
Cecil.
Is it? No, I actually don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I go with Cecil.
Okay.
But like my thought is that maybe Radia might be the third character.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it seems Force centric. That's what I'm saying.
There's so many characters I'd want to see there.
And if you look at a lot of the gear that's coming out, you could say Yang maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of throwbacks to some Final Fantasy characters in the gear that we showed off last week. I just want more. I want them to stop saying these like generalizations and give us a name. Which, by the way, we do have a few names here. 7 Heavenly Dragons, or as we've called them last week, 7 Evil Dragons. We actually found out some of their names. We got Nizbek, we got Tiamat. There was actually a reveal earlier today with Vishap or Vishap. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Bahamut. I mean, just throw Bahamut in there, right? Yeah. How do you feel about his name being on that list? Haven't we beaten him to hell at this point?
Pretty much. I mean, what more is there to learn about Bahamut? I mean, what more can we do?
Well, according to this, he's not part of the main story, but there's going to be more elaboration specifically about like his capture. You know, how the Mericidians were. We're pretty much more about the people that were entrapped inside of Dalamud with him, or the race that was trapped in there with him.
Right.
But it seems like he is referenced as, you know, one of Midgard Sommer's children, which caught me off guard because they kind of almost allude to kind of Bahamut being around the same time, if not predating him. But that's only in recent history that he's been predated, it seems.
Right.
Because everyone's like, Midgard Sommer showed up like however long ago is the first time he showed up in ages. But they never alluded to how old he actually was, just that he's a servant of Hydaelyn, and he's the guardian of Silvertear Lake. I don't know. I want to learn more about dragons. I know it's like such a cliche thing about fantasy games to do dragons, but if you got big ass dragons, I'm gonna play the game. That's pretty much how it's gonna work for me.
So who do you think those other 3 dragons are?
See, you can't ask a Final Fantasy XI player that because we default to Nidhogg, which I'm almost dead sure is one of them. Vertra, Oryu, and I would say Jormungand, but Midgard Sommer and Jormungand are the same thing, yeah. And
if you're gonna say Tiamat, I'm going Yasmat, Shinryu maybe.
Shinryu, yes.
I mean, we did see Shinryu. Oh, can't say nothing. Had to catch myself. I would say Fafnir, but he's a smaller dragon. He's kind of a Drake, so throwing him out the window. I don't know.
Dragonite. Yeah, we'll get Dragonite in here.
We'll get Dragonite.
Dratini. I would prefer Dratini. Cute little thing. Oh, and talking about Bahamut's like true story, there's also going to be stories surrounding a specific weapon that we've spoken about before as well, an Omega weapon. Now,
I believe we've all been waiting for this. I mean, if we saw Ultima, there had to be an Omega weapon in here sometime.
And the thing is, where there's an Omega weapon, there's a Shinryu. Because in Final Fantasy lore, Shinryu and Omega are opposites. Omega was created with the purpose of killing Shinryu. So that's why when you said Shinryu, I went like, oh yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Then again, in terms of this lore, wasn't Ultima created to, well, not really take down the primals, but take down Bahamut himself?
Omega was. Omega was actually specifically created for that, whereas Ultima was all primals, like just general weak primals that he could actually absorb. I don't know, man.
It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of 1.0 lore for those of us who suffered. A lot of names. There's a Chocobo village. I don't know. Expect to see like wild chocobos. I don't even know what to think about
Chocobo
that.
hunting?
Chocobo hunting? I don't know. I'm gonna have to read through it again because if they're hunting chocobos, then
we gotta take them down.
We gotta take them down. They're bad guys.
We gotta take down these poachers. Yeah.
I'm immediately taking it down. All right. So now this should be big news for you. This next one. This is big news for everybody. Skill speed and spell speed.
Yes.
They finally accepted these stats are complete garbage on anyone who's not trying to get an extra GCD like a warrior or a monk or something, just to fit it into like a small time frame. So they said it's going to directly affect dots in 3.0.
So are we going to have to go back to, well, me personally, am I going to have to go back and get some skill speed? I mean,
I wouldn't say go back, just get it going forward. I guess it depends on how it affects it, because the way it works right now, that doesn't make any sense. How does it? It can't affect it with the way the system is now. It wouldn't work. Bottom line.
Unless we're going towards, well, not going towards a new system, but
it has to be. How is this going to affect our dots now? It can't. There's no way. Yeah, see? You got nothing.
I got nothing.
It doesn't.
I got nothing on this one.
It doesn't make sense because I mean, I think it's something they should do. I think the way our system is complete trash. The way that the dot tick every 3 seconds. It makes it so that occasionally, if there's a mechanic that's based on those server ticks that you can get screwed by it, you can take an extra tick because it was poorly timed. I think it makes them able to make more sound mechanics. I don't know. It's just better. The only thing I'm worried about is that it may cause even more issues with resource regeneration, because if a dot is wearing off quicker, you're using it more often. And it also makes rotations a little bit more. And
that's where I was going to go. What is this going to do with current rotations? Everybody's going to revamp rotations. I mean, people revamp rotations every patch, every so often, every time there is a new mechanic or something has changed in regards to MP or TP or whatnot. But what is this going to do for our current rotations?
I don't think it's going to change too much. I do think it'll have some impact depending on the job. Summoner is probably the biggest one people are thinking about. Bard is second to my thought. Bard's not so much of an issue because it's not really a rotation. It's just buff, dots, stuff. That's Bard.
Stuff.
That buff, dots,
stuff.
There you go.
Yes.
Whereas Summoner has like this whole thing that it's got to go through, and it's got perfect timings with Contagion and Raging Strikes, and everyone's like, well, at this exact point in the fight, if you do this will happen. Now that doesn't work anymore. It's like rotations almost have to be dependent entirely on your skill set. I'm sure someone will math it out and go for the exact amount of speed that you want and the rotation with that exact speed. But I want to see that level of interaction. That's a level of interaction I think 14 has been missing up till now. Are those thoughts that not every job is built precisely equal with no matter what the stats are.
And you're probably going to be that first someone, aren't you?
No, trust me. There are people who are really good at math who are way better at this. Trust me. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. But
please look forward to it.
Please look forward to it.
Hi.
He said it first. He beat me to it. See, this is why he's better than me now. We established this at the start of the show, and now he's taken the mantle. I'm being replaced. Anyway, next up we have a bunch of job information.
Oh, yes.
So some of this wasn't really too new. Some of it also wasn't really too surprising to some. Right. The first thing was Dark Knight using MP. We went over that.
Get that pie.
They use a darkness buff, and they can do more damage. They can change their aura to be more defensive or more offensive, and they can manipulate it. And it's not their own. We don't know that it's their only resource. I'm guessing it's not. I'm sure they're still going to use TP as their primary resource, but
right.
Yeah, like you said, pie materia.
Pie.
You know, the price did jump up after he said that. It's ridiculous. People actually went and bought it.
Did I just ruin the economy?
Yeah, you did. You just furthered it. I mean, I'm not helping either, but at least I'm making fun of it so people don't go out and buy a bunch of piety materia in preparation of Dark Knight. I don't know. MP, dude. Now, a big thing, though, that's not confirmed yet, and this may not even happen at the expansion's release, we still have no HP mechanics. None. That's, like, not in the Dark Knight's repertoire of Final Fantasy XIV.
Right.
They're considering it, but not necessarily at expansion launch. Later. Just later.
I'm scared for that, honestly.
That's so weird to me. I literally just, like, looked at Dark Knights from the old series before, and I'm like, HP, HP, HP,
Yep.
HP, 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 MP. What? No. No, yeah, to cast, like, stone.
So would you rather have had the HP mechanic rather than the MP mechanic? Because in all honesty, like, as a tank with an HP mechanic, how do you think that's going to go by with other tanks who already currently are thinking about doing this? I'd rather have that MP mechanic than an HP mechanic and be such a damn squishy tank.
I'd rather have an HP mechanic that in some way
Why?
improved your offense and defense. You can choose to use HP when you're not tanking. If you're not taking damage, who cares? Or you can choose to use it when you are tanking, like almost like a mitigation purpose. Like if you absorb X amount of current % HP, you get X amount of mitigation, and it could be very powerful. I guess it's almost like the Final Fantasy fanboy in me that's like, it needs to have an HP mechanic. It needs to have it. I don't care that it's a tank. People are still harping on it for that, but for me, HP usage. Even if you ran out of MP, it reached into your HP.
I don't even think I'd like that either.
It's like, well, I got to do something here.
No. Again, it's you going back to the whole FF fanboy, like going past looking at earlier iterations of a Dark Knight. Like, you'd be the type that would be mad if Samurai wouldn't go the right way for you. I'm saying DPS.
No, I don't care about that. I wanted Samurai to be a tank. Listen, they were supposed to be a tank. We're not getting into this. This is another topic.
Okay,
Tangents.
yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
that's post-show topic right there.
Post-show topic, but yeah, you gotta conform.
Stay tuned in for the post-show.
It's, I love that they switch it up. They go against like Final Fantasy confirmations. Like, they go against the grain.
I kind of do like that though. Like, a part of me does like it. They're not like, well, every other Final Fantasy did it, so we got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It's sort of an individuality, but at the same time,
I mean, there's some things you can't really touch. Dragoon as a tank, like I could never ever in my life see that.
Oh, I see it all the time. It just ends with them dead.
Yeah, of course.
And that's because
in terms of like Dragoon as a like legit tank.
And that's because they do so much damage. They pull aggro and die, guys. It has nothing to do. It's not LOL Dragoon. It's just clarify here before the haters come in and like, Dragoon's the best.
Don't worry, it's hate, people. It's hate. Just don't listen to him. It's hate.
Okay, I do. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. So next up is Astrologians. Now, I think this is the one I wanted to know the most about. I just didn't know what to expect. Them and Machinist, like, I'm so clueless as to how this is gonna work.
Yeah.
Astrologian. Last week we talked about if they're gonna fit in the meta. Looks like they're trying to make it so no matter what you play, they'll fit into the meta. They have a healing stance. Yeah, they have a healing stance and a barrier stance. And they each have their own benefits and they each have their own restrictions. You can't constantly switch. There is a limit to how often you can switch. And it seems like you don't really benefit from staying in one of them all the time. Whereas you're kind of equipped for multiple situations. We don't really know how that works exactly, though. Like, is it... does the barrier stance make it so you can't heal? It's just all shields, all preventative, no healing at all? Or in his healing stance as good as White Mage, or is it like tuned down to be not as good so that way they don't, literally replace one or the other? I don't know. But it seems like they're wording it, it's an exchange. Like, that's literally how it's translated, is those are the exchanges.
So it looks like Scholar and Astrologian will be the people to take in. That's what I'm getting from this. I mean, again, I was thinking along the lines of something like a Scholar where they had cleric stance and they could DPS. No, this is more of a defensive. And like, I think Scholar and Astrologian can work in concert.
I guess my question is, does it become one Astrologian, one of the other two, or does it kind of be one of the other two and then either Astrologian and the other one? Like, we couldn't stop talking about it last week. It was a heated topic.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, I don't know. There's so many things I want to know more about, and now this is on the top of my list because you literally have the same spells. They just do completely different things in each stance. That's the best thing about it. So, I don't know. We got to move on because we could spend our whole episode here. Machinists.
Yes.
This was my favorite description of the new jobs. So, apparently the way that the attachments work is in order to use an attachment, you have to stand still and begin sort of equipping them and charging up your shot.
New derp goon.
Okay, let me finish.
Okay.
Before we call him LOL Machinist real quick. You are still able to move, but if you move, that charge shot is reset. So instead of being like a bard where you run around, like, your goal is I move, I get to a spot, I plant myself in this spot, and I unload. If I need to move, I can, but I want to try and find spots where my movement
more
is
than
extremely
likely you're
limited.
gonna have to move. That's why I'm saying this is like, I don't see this working. I just honestly I don't.
But black mages technically do it. I mean, black mages, their whole goal is to move around, find a spot where they can just be a turret and not move. So like, we have something in the game like this. It's just This is a different way. You're not constantly casting, it sounds like. Charging up a shot, we don't know how long that charge shot takes is a big thing.
But the more time that you sit there and charge it, the better it's going to be. But you're going to have those hardcore machinists when it comes out that just want to get the most out of their attack, and they can't. Like, I feel like there's going to be a steep learning curve with machinists. You're going to have like good machinists or even greater machinists, or you're just going to have those, that just don't know the job. I feel like this one is going to be the most difficult of the three jobs, of the three newer jobs, that is going to be like, it's going to be the most difficult to learn.
I think that's fair. And to top it all off, if you do attack while you're on the move, it actually uses an ammo system in order to actually fire the guns. Now, it's not ammo you keep in your inventory, but it's almost like reserve ammo, whereas the charge shot doesn't really make use of that. And because of that, there's a reload function and a quick reload function that you're able to use. So the moving has its benefit, but it also has its drawback, which is something that Bard doesn't have. There's no drawback to moving as Bard other than if you have trouble pressing your keys while you're moving. I like it.
I think it'll be buffed.
Think it'll be because
sooner,
you think
sooner
people
than
will
later.
underperform
Sooner
with it?
than later, it'll be buffed. Like Goon was buffed, I think this will be buffed sooner than later.
I guess the big question is, where does this all fit in global cooldowns? If a charge shot takes 5 seconds, what are you doing with your global cooldown all that time? Does it really hit hard enough to make it worth sitting there and only charging up that one ability?
And that's what I wonder.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the attachments themselves can modify certain abilities. So it's all coming together. A machinist so far is like the most complete job that they've described to me. Attachments, stand still, charge a shot, put down your buffs or your debuff turrets, your whatever they do. We don't even know that yet, just generalizations. They seem to have completely given us what we wanted to know about machinists. Now it's just filling in the numbers, global cooldowns, potencies, all that. I'm a little bit more excited about it than I was, but it's still the lowest on my list of the new jobs. Speaking of which, where are you on this now that we've gotten this new information? Like, which is the one you're looking forward to the most? Is it the same?
Still Dark Knight.
Okay.
Still Dark Knight. And I've actually put, even though I don't heal, I actually put Astrologian above Machinist, and I'm a DPS.
I think that's
like
fair.
It's scary. Like, it really scares me. It scares me how steep the learning curve is for this new job. I mean, it seems like Dark Knight's going to be simple. I shouldn't say simple. No job ever is simple. Healers will automatically, meld into Astrologian. I mean, it'll just be simple to pick up. Whereas this, like, I put it like this: treat it as if a new player is coming in and wants to start out as a machinist.
They've got to get to level 30 first.
Of course, get to level 30 first, but not knowing any of the past jobs, any of the past range jobs, this is going to be the steepest to learn.
I'll let you have yours. I'll let you have that because
okay.
I will literally never leave this topic alone if we don't move on.
Right.
And we have still quite a few things to talk about. Next thing being limit breaks.
Oh, here we go.
LB1 and LB2 are staying the same. That doesn't surprise me. I don't know about you. It doesn't surprise me at all.
All right.
But LB3's, every job's going to have their own animation, slowly but surely. Like Astrologians, they described a celestial stasis. In the old games, it would like stop time and stuff like that. Don't expect that to happen, but it has its own name. It's basically the same thing as the healer LB3. That's just its name. It's got its own animation. They're going to try and make it look like it stops time, though. Like the whole animation is going to try and make it look like time has stopped. I like that because that just gives me hope for all the other jobs that are getting animation changes. And also, Bards, we have confirmed their limit break is a DPS one. They didn't say if it was single target or AoE.
I know Bard, so I can't say. Like, I would think Bard. Like, what if Bard's LB now? Is it just a
healing?
That's it. Yeah.
Get two bards in your duty finder, and you're like, oh, no damage.
When do bards ever use it though? I've never seen a bard.
All right,
I've never seen it. I
don't even play bard anymore. When people say when do you ever use it, I will find at least 10 clips. Of people
I haven't even seen a
with
freaking tank LB until Chrysalis. And I've only seen it once.
It's got a few other uses. It's got a few others in there. Those are definitely more limited than the DPS, than the use of the DPS limit break. Let's be real here. Black Mage is going to be keeping Meteor.
Of course.
I don't know why that surprised anyone. I wish they'd commented on Summoner for that though, because a lot of people have a lot of different hopes for Summoner. Like a lot of people hoping for using Ifrit Eggy. Ifrit comes out for your LB3, like a full size.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Like all the this is just
the
expansion.
possibilities.
It's just so many possibilities. But the next LB3 that we're actually going to see is the Dragoon one. We actually thought we were going to see it like a couple weeks ago.
And this is the one that gets so many jokes.
And this is
Dragoon's going to be a re-raise.
Dragoon's going to get re-raised. Yes, finally. Every time they die, they could just get back up.
And it's useful for nobody but the Goon.
Yeah, it's LB3 that's only for the Dragoon. It uses the whole party bar, but it's only for the Dragoon. It sounds legit to me. I'd believe it. That'd make me want to play Dragoon, knowing that I could just get up and then die again immediately because I was animation locked getting back up. Right. It'd be the first ability we can use from the grave. And that opens up so many possibilities.
It does.
Think about it.
But realistically, I foresee it as being like an extreme jump of some kind.
Yeah, realistically. I mean,
realistically.
I don't think they're going to literally, because the LB2 is not really Omni Slash. Well, Blade Dance is not Omni Slash. Maybe they get Omni Slash. That would be kind of stupid if you ask me, though.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So moving on from the jobs, the limit breaks, all that stuff. The gear item levels, I was really curious about this. Because a lot of people still weren't sure if Alexander Normal was going to have its own gear hard mode. We've heard it in a few places, but it's kind of just tucked away in like tidbits of information. And they pretty much confirmed here that the gear between each content patch is going to be further apart in item level than there was before. Mostly so they can implement content in between raiding that's harder than Alexander Normal, which is the kind of raid level the majority of players will fall to. And then it's something that's even harder than that, but it's still easier than Alexander hard mode. So it's actual progression for people as opposed to, you know, the way we have it now where it's, hey, it's coil, and then here's Crystal Tower if you can't do coil, or you don't want to do coil, or you want gear for your alternate jobs or whatever. I like it. I think that's a
like
good
this
idea.
I agree. I like this idea. I think it's kind of a fair idea for people trying to get that higher level gear, but, you know, not having to pick either or, like, you know, CT or coil. Like, you can actually get relevant raid gear, and it still actually help you progress. Yeah, I like this idea.
The big question is what goes in between. Is it the 24-man raid? Is it do they actually take that step, make the 24-man raid harder than Alexander Normal? I don't think it will. I still think the 24-man is going to be easier. That's the problem. What goes in between? We have the Free Company airships, which they really want that to be like a big staple of the content, is the Free Company airships.
I don't think it will be. I think it's going to get, like, to me, it seems like Ventures 3.0 without retainers.
Yeah, but if you actually went with your retainers and beat up these enemies, in 3.0, yes, it's Ventures 3.0. But in 3.1, the idea of going to these floating continents you can't reach otherwise, there's bosses waiting for you there.
Right.
You can have up to 4 of these airships, so you can actually, you know, you don't have to worry if we have 4 groups of people that play together a lot, you know, they can take theirs out, we can take ours out. You can gear them more towards finding farther away islands or just being able to carry a lot of items home. There's a lot of little things in here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. I want to see what they fill this content with. What goes in between Alexander. And Final Fantasy XI fans, if you're watching this, no, it will not be Dynamis. No, it won't be. Or Limbus or anything. Rip Final Fantasy XI.
Excuse me.
Also, interesting. Talking about gear and the item levels, AF2 is not going to come from job quests.
It's going to come through story quests.
It's going to come
quests.
just quests. We don't know where these quests are. Maybe they're hidden out in the world and we got to find them first. And it's not as cut and dry as, well, here's my level 55 quest, here's my gear. Here's my level 60 quest, here's my gear. I like it. It's a little bit more of an adventurous side to the AF2. Ultimately, it's probably going to come down to a similar experience. I like it, though. And, of course, we have new daily quests in 3.05 and 3.1. I could care less, to be honest. New mounts coming from those. Probably the same way we did it before. Who cares, right?
Side note, do you think there will be new currency in 3.0? Like, absolutely. I think it's too early for new currency, i.e. poetics. But do you think there will be?
There absolutely will be. There has to be. There's no way. Now here's the thing. I don't know if they're going to be Allegan themed. I'm making the joke: Dravanian tombstones of philosophy, Dravanian tombstones of mythology. That's in my head what's going to end up happening. It's probably not going to actually happen, but I guarantee you we have brand new currency for all that stuff. Probably even I wouldn't even be surprised if we got a new hunt currency. I think they're just going to continue to increase the number of seals you need. The only reason I think they might sort of make a new seal is so people don't save up a bunch of seals for the expansion and then wait for the hunt to come out. I mean, the hunt's probably not going to be till 3.1, but you never know. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things that could happen. And you know what's one thing that I definitely don't think is going to happen?
What?
Fat Chocobos flying. They said they might try to make it happen.
It just looks wrong. It looks
wrong when it's on the ground.
In my head, it looks so wrong. It looks so wrong to see a fat chocobo fly because it's kind of an oxymoron. But can fat chocobos fly?
They got really because the thing is, there's no fat in the wings. It's all in the abdomen.
Exactly, and you got those little wings trying to put in work just to get that big ass chocobo to fly.
Also, I have a hard time believing he would be motivated to fly with the Gasol grain.
Yeah, you would need something stronger.
You would need a stake or something. And even then I would fly if there was a stake on a stick. Don't if you ever meet me in real life, don't put a stake on a stick. It's not going to work.
I mean, but people want to see a fat chocobo fly.
I do want it. I do want to see it. It was a collector's edition mount, so it'd be pretty cool if it stayed useful. And then there's a bunch of other people asking about, like, is the Ariman going to fly? That's the other big one. I don't think that's going to fly either.
It already flies.
Yeah, it already flies, but it can't go more than 2 feet off the ground. It's got tiny wings.
They're not chocobo tiny.
Yeah, but do you seen that? It's literally a ball wings, and then it's got like Rogadins on back.
Okay, now I see where you're going. Okay.
I could see if it was a Lalafell, but not a Rogadin. All right.
Or here.
No, I think Lalafell is the only thing I would believe.
Okay.
All right. Next thing, Zodiac Weapon Quest 3.1. Gone over it before. That's when the continuation is going to be. They're also going to implement a new big piece of content for the Gold Saucer, like Triple Triad and Chocobo Racing sized new content. That's nothing else. That's all they told us.
So new tracks, new cards. Maybe that's what I'm seeing from this is we're getting new tracks and new cards.
Well, they confirmed 20 new cards.
Mm-hmm.
New tracks, they said, yeah, but they would even like to do flying tracks. But they're kind of detailing this to be different. Not more racing, not more Triple Triad, something else. Yoshi P says his favorite thing to add would be snowboarding. That would be his favorite thing to add. And the last time he said something was his favorite to add is when he said that he would love to add Machinist to the game, and then it happened. So I'm just saying.
So we're going to get snowboarding in 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years.
4.0.
According to the dev cycle, in 2 years. Yeah, that's when we're going to get snowboarding.
3.51. There you go.
Please look forward to it.
Please look forward to it. What about Battle Square? I love throwing out the idea that it's going to be Battle Square. Because
you love this idea, but I don't.
I love the idea of going into a fight, winning the first one, getting gimped to all hell, and then... See, at Fan Festival, they did that kind of. They had the Battle Square. It was the Extreme Chocobo Challenge. It was exactly what it was. It was like Battle Square. If on the first round you had a chance of getting gimped or not, and I loved it. I want more. I want to be more gimp. I want to be less good.
I could do without it.
Blitzball. What if it's Blitzball?
Don't get me started on Blitzball. I'd prefer Blitzball over Battle Square. I'm just saying.
Okay, I thought when you said "don't get me started," it was gonna go poorly, but never mind.
Oh no! I love me some Blitzball.
Just not 10-2 Blitzball. No.
God.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page here. We both agree on that.
We both agree on that.
All right. So moving out of kind of all the battle content, the item levels, the raids, the new abilities, whatever. Crafting and gathering. Now, I'm not a big crafter or gatherer. I kind of just do them on the side whenever. I don't know if you do them all that much.
Same.
You do? Okay. Good.
Gatherer, so.
Good. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but I'm going to make sure everybody watching gets the information. So, apparently, crafting became too hardcore.
How?
I don't know. Dude, you got to see some of the crafters out there, man. They are nuts when it comes to, I got to get a full set of this, materia melded, this, every single thing, full materia melded. They replace it the next patch. They do it day one. And the big thing was they wanted everything to be good. They wanted it to be like, I can do everything on one character. What happened was, I have to do everything on one character. I need all these things at 50. And the way crafting system works, that's kind of true. You need almost everything at like between the 40 and 50 range to be an effective crafter in even just one category. Right. So once you're 60, they're going to kind of make you narrow down that path that you take. And there's going to be what's known as the specialist tier, where you pick one thing you're good at on a specific crafter, and that's what you're good at. You can switch, but there's a cooldown. Think of it like grand companies. I like this.
Yeah, it works for you because you have like 40 characters.
They don't need to know that.
I'm just saying. But yeah, it just I think this could go like so horribly wrong. I think a lot of crafters are gonna hate this idea. A lot of gatherers are gonna hate this idea. I already and I'm not a hardcore gatherer, and I already dislike this idea.
You know why I like this idea?
Why?
You know why I like? Because you're bashing it, and I want to give it a chance.
Okay.
You hate it.
Give it a chance. Give it a shot.
I will give it a chance. I don't like interrupting you, Sly, but it needs to be done here.
Give it a shot.
I like the idea. With the specialist tier, opens up the ability for them to give crafting-related buffs to combat jobs. It's something I've seen other MMOs do. It's something that Final Fantasy XIV has never done in any way. I would love to see if I am a potion master for Alchemist, I can make a special kind of potion for me, a better potion for me, and I can make better potions for everyone else, but I have this special potion that benefits me. I like it. It makes you able to pick and choose the way that you want to kind of improve your own character.
It's not really picking and choosing, though, because it's requiring you to just stick to this one. Now, I can see if you had the opportunity to switch.
You can switch. It just has a cooldown.
And that's my problem. Like, why should there be a cooldown for a specialist tier? Like, you should be able to, like, if you had that specialist tier, good. Switch to another one. You shouldn't, it doesn't work like a grand company where you switch and you're going to wait 30 days. It shouldn't work like that.
You also lose all your PvP rank.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sorry, adders, I've forsaken you. Not again. I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. I think the whole they've been leaning away from the whole Omni Crafter thing up to this point anyway with desynthesis. I think this is another step in the right direction. I guess the question still is, do I need every crafter at 60 to even be good in a single crafter? If that's the case, then the specialist tier falls to the wayside because you still need every crafter at 60 to be effective. That's the next question. There's also going to be scripts, which is a kind of weird thing. They didn't go into too much detail, but there's a new way you can polish up items other than their, quality. So almost like, I guess that's the abilities 50 to 60 will cover this, but you're able to get these by crafting items and improving there's a certain aspect of the item. And apparently those are going to be used to help improve the experience in some way.
Yeah, it's still a mystery to me. I'm not even sure about this. I'd had to see it to kind of get a better understanding of it because it just sounds confusing.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing to me too. I don't know. And this one's almost weird to me. Gatherers. Now, it doesn't sound like they're trying to limit gatherers in any way. There's only 3 of them in the game, and one of them is literally just for lulz or you're bored or you're a completionist or something. So, botany and mining, the 2, real ones. Listen, I love fishing.
I didn't say it. Everybody,
I love fishing. I think big fishing was the dumbest thing they ever put in the game.
It's the best looking gathering gear.
Great, level up to 60, leave it alone.
And you're just going, okay.
Go collect some more big fish.
Fishermen,
women.
I didn't say it.
Go have fun spending 3 days trying to catch a single fish. Okay.
I didn't say it.
Go catch a coeliocanth or whatever it's called.
Like, I actually want to fish now, but just because you.
It's funny because I don't have botany at 50, but I leveled Fisher to 50.
and you're talking shit about it.
Because that doesn't mean I never used it after 50.
Either way, going back to gatherers.
Okay, they're gonna be able to discover the lore of the world, and with that lore, locate mining nodes and botany nodes. And those are the only 2 that matter. So And you're also going to be able to use a talisman in order to find these things if you don't know the lore. You don't have that information handy to you. It doesn't sound like they're trying to restrict it anymore, or at least I'm not getting that impression here.
Mm-hmm.
People already click through quests, though, so what's the... Why tying it behind the lore is going to be nice for some people.
But, I mean, does this mean rare materials?
Well, I hope it's more rare than unspoiled nodes, where it's like, hey, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, you 40 other people. Are you here for the same thing? Of course we are.
Of course we are.
Can't wait to fight against you to undercut on the market board. This is going to be great. Don't drop the prices. I'll know who did it. I like it. I mean, I can't fight it. It's just that the lore aspect of it seems wasted. So many people are going to skip over that. I want the lore to be the lore and to not have to do with gathering. Oh,
don't we?
And apparently part of that is picking regions to specialize in. Maybe that's the way they want you to specialize it. What if you had to pick a region and you were the best at gathering in that region? Still kind of achieves the same thing. Until everybody wants the same item, because that's the best region. I don't like it anymore. Never mind. Now I agree with you. Specialist tier sucks. This sucks too. Anyway. I agree. You've convinced me. You've convinced me.
Thank you. We finally agree on something. Thank God.
Don't worry.
We agree on a lot of things, but we agree on some things. But yeah, thank you.
Don't worry. I'm sure we'll find plenty to fight about very soon.
Of course.
Let's see. Company crafting. So we touched upon this a little bit. Also, you're going to be able to do. They said there was going to be 2 kinds of company crafting: the airships and housing. The housing thing is like glamour for your house.
I like this idea.
Do you like the idea of glamoring a house that almost nobody goes to anyway?
You don't use your FC house?
I use it for a training dummy. That's about it.
I'm pretty sure people out there use their
There
FC
are.
house.
I remember
They like their FC house. If this is the case, I want mine to look like Buscaron's Druthers. I want it to look like a tavern/bar. Everybody saw that coming. Yeah, I like this idea.
All I'm gonna say is it makes me look forward to events like the fashion show I went to a while ago. They did an amazing job setting up the basement. That is an impressive way to use a free company house, or for big events like that. But I almost never see people casually using them. When people own their own personal houses, I can't even tell. Sometimes they just lock themselves inside and they're just rocking back and forth, and you never see them. Whereas some people are outside, you see them in the garden, whatever. But when I run around the housing area, it's
good meeting place.
Dead.
It's a good meeting place.
It's a good meeting. It's if I were to walk outside in the middle of the summer, I'd see people walking their dogs. I don't even see people around in the housing area. And I've been on 2 different servers. It's been the same on both of them. There's market boards there, no one's ever there. There's retainer bells, no one cares. I never see anybody.
Lavender beds for you?
It was mists and then lavender beds.
Okay.
Lavender beds has been more dead than the other one. That's why I go there for the training dummy, because there's no lag, because there's no one in the zone.
I like our house. I'm just saying. Our house is a good little meetup spot. We have a beer pong table downstairs. Just saying.
And when's that getting added to the gold saucer?
I know. Beer pong.
There we go.
Ale pong.
Ale pong.
Ale pong.
I can't. I can't. I got nothing. That's just ale pong. Just doesn't say. That could be at ale port. Ale pong at ale port.
Best event in the game.
All right, I need to take a deep breath after that one because it's still making me laugh. Okay, 1 second. There we go. That's such nerd humor that I find that funny. That's can't stop. All right, serious. This is a serious show. Yeah, we're serious here. All right, so airship crafting, we wanted to elaborate a little bit more. I started talking about it before, but I didn't want to, shed all the details. So, one free company can have 4 airships to start, but they're saying it's going to go up in the future.
What do you think the limit will be? I'm saying 8.
4 is... I mean, I guess the only reason they'd increase the limit is if your free company size is big enough. Like, what are you going to do with 8 airships? Like, I can understand 4, but what would you do with 8 airships? I can't even see it going.
There are some big free companies out here.
There are some huge free companies. I guess you know what? That's only a good question once we know how many people can board an airship at a time.
Yeah.
And how much the different airships can bring back. Let's elaborate on it a little bit. So there's 4 customizable parts on each airship. You have the engine, the fuel tank, the sails, and there's one other part I imagine is the hull that they didn't describe. Then these different parts are going to have different parameters. Your airship's going to have its own stats, and these stats actually allow you to do different things. You can build a really fast one that can get the job done quick, but because the fuel tanks are so big, it means it can't bring as many items back whenever you like beat the boss or you go and gather materials or something like that. Or you can make it super slow, which means it can't travel as far, but it can bring back a lot of items, so it's really good for farming nearby uncharted islands and whatnot. It's I like, the more and more they talk about the system, the more I'm a fan of it.
I'm kind of in between. Like, it seems like a lot to take in now. I mean, once I see it implemented, I might be a big fan of it. But like having to kind of nitpick what you have for certain situations and certain circumstances, what are these circumstances going to be? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, like we don't even know what we can get from these islands yet. Like, how are these islands seriously going to be rare enough to the point where people are going to want to do it every day? Like, Ventures, everyone wanted to do right away because they wanted to level their retainers. They knew there were going to be unique items at level 50. Is this going to have that same effect? I'm not entirely convinced yet.
I don't think it's going to have the same effect. I mean, it's not as simple as Ventures.
That's true. That's a big part of it. And those maps are like, that's the whole thing. You get a sky map. A map in the sky, so think, treasure maps, you get a sky map.
Right.
You dispatch the airship, in 3.0, you'll dispatch it, gain items, rank of the ship increases, whatever, stronger airship. And then in 3.1, you can actually board it and go there and fight the things and go to new islands with bosses. And they say tough bosses. Maybe that means 24-man content. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe it means finally somewhat difficult 24-man content, because it is free company, so it's almost sort of implied that you guys are kind of working together to some degree. It's not random in any way.
And it goes back to what you're saying about the size of free companies. I mean, how many, like, there are some huge free companies, and then there are some free companies that are just starting out. Like, goes back to this, like the whole size of free company, how many ships you have. Is it really for 24-man content? I don't think it is.
It's so hard. It's so hard to think of this, of how this is going to fit in. If it's between Alexander, separate to it, I got nothing, man. I want to know more. Please tell us more, Yoshi P. Senpai. Please notice us. Please. I'm sorry, I had to do the meme. Sly, you're looking at me with great disapproval.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Why'd you have to do
I've let down my leader.
Why? Why did you have to do the meme?
I had to do it. I had to do it. It had to be done.
No.
There you go. Okay. So, depending on the circumstances, to top it all off, there's a chance that something terrible might happen on the way to the island, and you don't even make it.
And that's what I'm worried. That the whole circumstances thing. Weather, dragons.
I would like
airship battle.
If I got attacked by a dragon while I was on the airship, and that replaced my encounter on the actual thing itself.
Like, what are these circumstances? Like, bandits?
We need more answers. And we're not going to get them until June 19th. We're never going to get them. Sky pirates.
Sky pirates.
Hey, we have sky fishing, all right? We can have sky anything. Called Sly fishing.
Giant whales?
Giant whales? Well, we already have one giant whale. His name's Bismarck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There we go.
Circumstance?
He's gonna flatten us. That's what's gonna happen.
He's gonna eat us.
So that's pretty much it for what it comes to the actual, stuff that's gonna be coming out in the expansion. Things they're planning for like 3.1 and beyond and whatnot. But they also quickly detailed the patches that are going to be after 3.0, 3.x as opposed to 2.x and whatnot. They're going to keep the release schedule of every 3 months. So give or take that, like it's going to be about maybe almost, like 5 months, I guess, between 2.5 and 3.0. Special case being the expansion, but most patches have been about 3.5, 4 months. Seems about fair. But what's interesting to me is that 3.1, 3.2, etc. are going to be bigger than 2.1, 2.2, etc.
More dungeons, more.
Does that mean more than 3 dungeon to patch? Does that
That's what I'm
mean?
thinking. But it's how many more dungeons can we hard mode though? Right now, like if
4.
anything, we're gonna start getting more new dungeons,
4.
not just hard mode this or hard mode that.
Well, I mean, we have all the new dungeons from 50 to 60. That's a big thing. On top of that, they're probably going to keep it. I think they really like the idea of one of the new expert dungeons being a main story dungeon.
Right.
But my thing is, there's still 4. They said the final 4 dungeons in 2.0, they'll probably never remake the 4 that existed from 1.0. So I'm not expecting to see any extreme mode dungeons or harder mode dungeons of the ones we currently have. I don't think that the dungeons are necessarily limited to the new areas, though. I do think we're going to see some more old world dungeons popping up.
Old world as in 1.0 or 2.0?
2.0. 1.0's world, no one cares. 2.0's world is the 1.0 world, but sectioned off, basically, and quite different. So, yeah. Sly, I just want him to be bigger. I just want him to be better. That's all I want. That's all I want.
What dungeon would you want bigger and better? Like, pick one. If you had to pick one.
One that's currently in existence.
One that's currently in existence, not hard moded just yet. What would you want?
That's of the 4. Honestly, I kind of want Total Rock of the 4. Like, Veil and Darkhold, just, I've dealt with you long enough. 1.0 has scarred me for you, too. Total Rock was always kind of underappreciated back in 1.0.
Total Rock seems to me like it'll still be basic. It's a BB. It's a BB dungeon.
BB.
Basic bitch.
Basic. Well,
Basic
good thing
bitch.
you explained it, because I would have never guessed.
Yeah, it seems like even if they made Total Rock hard mode, it'd still be one of those basic dungeons. I actually want Arm Veil.
Why? What's wrong with you?
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? That's not a way of answering the question. That is such a
liked Arm Veil.
That is such a roundabout way of asking.
I actually liked Arm Veil.
What's wrong with you? All right, do you like it in the Duty Finder?
No. Absolutely not.
There you go.
Okay.
See,
it's a good dungeon. Just don't DF it.
do you like it in the Duty Finder?
FCs
No.
That's why FCs exist.
That's why. I love it. I love it. All right, so what about, since we're talking about the old dungeons,
Okay.
do you think they're going to give us the ability to go into the old dungeons? They've discussed it. They said they might do it. Solo or with that group of NPCs, because having our Chocobo come in is still apparently too difficult.
I feel like I would rather go solo because I feel like NPCs would just be brain dead. I'd like the idea of soloing with a Chocobo, but I don't know about NPCs.
Here's the thing. AIs don't have brains, so they are brain dead. They are always going to be.
Like they do some really dumb shit. That's what
They already do that. So, I mean, here's the thing, though. The dungeons
Cannon
are...
fodder.
Maybe all you have to do is make it so that they be like, oh, there's a circle under me. I'm going to move. But they have no, like, sort of positional... like, other than avoiding AoEs, they have no idea where to face the boss or anything. I would think that's hilarious, because I would do every dungeon like that, see how bad the NPCs are, and get a good laugh out of it. That right there is worth a monthly subscription for me. Okay. All right. So... that pretty much covers all of our discussion about Famitsu for the night. However, I do have one question here that we got before the show, and it's about the skill speed, spell speed thing, because that's a big topic. That's probably the topic people are most interested in, believe it or not. It has nothing, no new content, nothing. We just want to know how skill speed and spell speed aren't going to be useless. So this one is, what if skill speed and spell speed doesn't make it tick in a shorter time frame, but it forces the dot to tick more in the timer? So basically, it forces it. It's still going to have an 18-second duration,
Right.
but with this, it'll if you breach certain, I guess, thresholds, it'll tick an extra time. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have it tick the same? Because this preserves rotations regardless of skill speed and spell speed. That's, I guess, the whole point of the question.
I actually like the sound of that, to be honest. Like, because of even just the thought of switching up rotations just because of it. Like, yeah, that actually sounds a little more appealing now that I think about it. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of extra work just to like have an excuse to keep the server tick. Because here's the thing, at that point you're still going out of your way to rework it because the server tick thing won't work. That's still the bottom line. If with this, the server tick idea doesn't work. And how do you what's 10 spell speed to me? How is it? How many times is it possibly going to tick more with 10 spell speed? And I'm not going to stack 150 spell speed for that.
I mean, it's worth it just to even see it, just to even test the theory. It's worth it doing that, but other than that, no.
Yeah, ultimately, I think they should just rework the whole system. Make skill speed and spell speed. I think this isn't the only thing those things need to do, by the way, while we're back on the topic. I think that they need to that skill speed specifically needs to improve TP regeneration if it's going to be a more desirable stat, or there needs to be more TP regeneration in general. Like maybe every 100 skill speed you get 10 more TP back a second. Probably not a worthy trade-off, but that's just a general example.
I'd say 30.
Yeah, and MP, I don't agree with MP. I think MP's its own thing. It's not consumed as consistently. There are ways to, depending on your job, of course, to get it back more easily. There's more avenues for that. Black Mage is infinite. White Mage regularly pops ethers. They receive ballads, things like that. I feel like there's more tools to regenerate MP in the game than there are to regenerate TP.
Okay, you say that, but going back to TP regeneration, like if they put this idea into place, what is this going to do for TP regeneration? Like invigorate, what's this going to do for that? Well, like do you nerf regenerate? I mean invigorate.
I don't think you need to, because the whole point is it's still there. It's still there for you every few seconds. You're still consuming TP faster. It's just to make up for, and you would still TP floor. Let's not confuse that. This is not to make it so you have infinite TP. This is to make it so that you're still hitting those floors at about the same time while outputting more damage. That's the whole point. If you run out of TP at 3.5 minutes for whatever reason on your job, be my guest. With all the skill speed in the world, I want you. No matter how you get a 500 skill speed, but I still want you to run out of TP at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Why? 500 skill speed. I don't care. I just want it to be to the point where you're still inhibited, but this stat is desirable to you. If you get 500 TP and you run out in 30 seconds, nobody wants you. You're useless after, unless the fight's going to end in 30 seconds. Nobody wants you.
Pretty much.
I'm sorry.
You sound a little bit salty.
I am salty because
you okay?
Because I was
want some popcorn to go with that salt.
I don't want popcorn with the salt. I want to put the salt on the popcorn, and I could use some butter, maybe some cheese. I don't know. Cheese on popcorn is a good thing. But anyway, Sly, is there anything we covered here that you want to expand upon?
The one thing I did want to expand upon, if I can go back to it, was the tiers for coil. How you can do each of them without having to go in order. Isn't that a ass backwards idea to begin with?
I think
in terms of progression, you're not going to be ready for T13 off gate. No one is. No one. I mean, unless you are just geared out of your mind, and you're not going to be ready for T13. Like, you're not going to do T13 first and say, "Oh, I'm going to go back to T10." Nobody's going to do that.
I think the big difference with final coil being unlocked versus first and second coil is that first coil got unlocked when second coil came out. So you only beating turn 5 to get to the most recent content made sense.
Right.
Second coil was added when final coil came out. Same deal. Your main goal is to beat turn 9 to get to the most recent content. Final coil is not. There's nothing replacing it. There's no tier above it. So at this point, you almost don't have a reason to go out of order. If you haven't beaten them, you kind of just want to be able to do them. 13 is probably still your main goal, but there's so much story laced, and a lot of people just want to do coil for story.
That's another thing. So seeing the story out of place, like if you want to go ahead and spoil the ending. Watch YouTube. Don't just jump to T13 thinking I'm gonna do this just to get the training, yada yada yada. There's a reason it's in order. I'm salty about it, to be honest. I'm not even that final coil. I'm salty about it.
Yeah. That's, I guess that's a point. But if somebody cares about the story, they will do them in order, or they will at least attempt to do them in order. Especially because when it comes to Final Coil, 11 is debatably easier than 10 to some people, depending on what mechanics you're talking about here. It's easier to organize groups, I guess you should say. Chaotic as hell to unorganized groups. But 10, 11, 12, and 13 are tiered in their difficulty pretty well, with 12 and 13 being near equal as opposed to 13 necessarily being harder. Some would even argue 13 is easier. I think it's okay. I think it's okay that people, if they want to do them out of order, they can. What a lot of people are going to be doing now is they want a piece of gear from a specific one. That's the first one they're going to go for. I don't have enough accuracy to do X content unless I get this piece. So I'm going to go for that piece. You know,
Right.
But of course you wouldn't do that for 13 because obviously then you don't have accuracy problems to begin with. But my point being, people can go out of order for specific pieces of gear if they want to now. They don't have to do 10 and 11 to worry about getting their drop in 12. They can just go straight to 12 as long as they are qualified, they understand, and they're willing to put up with the duty finder, which who is really?
Nobody.
Some people don't have a choice, Sly.
Again, that one girl at the bar who's left at the end of the night when PF is just dry. That's what DF is. That's what DF is. Like when PF is dry, you have nothing in PF. You just see a bunch of hunt parties, which I don't see anymore. Spirit bond stuff, nothing. There's only 4 things in PF. Yeah, sure, I'll DF. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zalera. Anyway, hashtag Zalera hype. Yo, listen, I love hashtag Zalera hype. Are you kidding me?
Oh god.
And some people like that last girl at the bar.
It's beer goggles.
It's beer goggles.
That's all it is. Beer goggles.
Oh, Sly, you crazy. That's it for today's show, everybody. Sly, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at after the show?
You can find me on Behemoth, hashtag CoolKidsTable. Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Slyakagreyfox or Instagram, Slyakagreyfox07, 07, excuse me, and Slythefox on Twitter.
Are you going to be streaming tonight after the show?
Of course I am. More CT goodness.
CT goodness, the weekly resets?
Yeah.
What are you going for this week? Because you know you got the Tombstone next week.
Yeah, I'm saving up. I'm saving up.
You're gonna get a twine, or you're gonna get a this week to get ready for the weapon next week?
Oh, you're sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting twine.
Twine? Okay. Get the Tombstone next week. You got 130 weapon. You good to go.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm your other host, the less important one as of this show, because we were equal before, and now Sly has taken over the mantle. He is the master of all with his Sly voice.
I don't get these people fooled.
Don't you mean don't get these people fooled? When they come to the pre-show, they'll understand, Sly. They'll understand why your voice has taken over, because the way you made me feel. Anyway. I'm your other host, Michael Mr. Happy Poveromo. You can find me at www.twitch.tv/MrHappy1227, Facebook Mr. Happy127, Twitter Mr. Happy1227, YouTube Xehanort1227. Damn you, YouTube. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming by the show this week. It's a great show as usual. We'll see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat place.
Channel.
What?
Channel.
Okay, just making sure. I thought you said it'll be on my channel because I'm the master now. That's what I heard.
Really? You heard all of that?
I heard all that. I mean, they didn't hear it, but I heard it.
All right.
Sly, I love you. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Laters.